in Abuja, the nation's capital. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on the program today. I am Femi Akonde. Well, President Bola Tinubu's first official meeting after he resumed from his 2-week leave was with the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. This meeting is indicative of ongoing efforts to fine-tune the implementation of the proposed tax reforms when the 4 executive bills sent to the National Assembly are passed into law. Zach Adedeji, the chairman of FIRS, will spearhead the implementation of this policy expected to stimulate economic growth. Just last week, he told the Senate's Committee on Finance that the proposed bills will not lead to the introduction of new taxes or increase existing ones. President Bola Tinubu forwarded 4 executive bills on tax reforms to the National Assembly for consideration. One of the reforms is the renaming of the FIRS to Nigeria Revenue Service. Well, joining me live on the studio to give perspective into these tax reform bills sent to the National Assembly is the chairman, Senate Committee on Finance, Senator Sani Musa Mohammed. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
Well, your committee will be crucial to the consideration and passage of these tax reform bills. Specifically speaking now, how will a change in name from FIRS to NRS improve efficiency?
Thank you very much, Akande. You see, when we are talking about reforms, it's not just about the nomenclature, it's not about the name. It's about what are the objectives of that reform. What do we intend to achieve with such reforms coming? And for me to provide a brief summary of the tax reform bill, the whole essence of it is to bring in efficiency, to improve tax compliances, and burden of tax that have been shifted to the weak. These reform bills are coming at the right time, looking at the kind of economy we have. So we are still studying it, and I believe that what is encompassed in it, it's something that Nigerians at the end of the day will appreciate, because it will reduce reliance on oil revenue. It will create avenue for us to look at other sectors of the economy like agriculture to boost our tax collection and then boost our revenue so that we can get much to also put in other sectors that are all in need of resources.
Yeah, you commended the chairman of the FIRS, for raising the tax revenue, particularly in the non-oil sector. But some people have said that it appears as if your assessment is too generous, bearing in mind that the country has lost about 17 trillion naira to tax waivers within the last 5 years, and it seems like the improvement you're pointing out in revenue generation is yet to meaningfully impact on the country.
Yes, with the tax reform bills that are before us today, I believe by the time we work on them and pass them, all those leakages that used to be there will definitely be tackled. And I believe that what FIRS have done within the 2024 assessment, we can see that we've given them a target, and they have even closely exceeded that target, because by the end of this year will be December. I mean, with what they have collected so far, we are very optimistic that they will surpass that target that we have given them. But that is not good enough. When you are talking about losses that we have seen, especially in tax waivers, by the time this reform comes, you will definitely see that we have taken care. The mechanisms that will be putting in place will take care of all those leakages that we are giving room for those waivers. And it's not like we want to improve our economy. We want to be a productive nation. We don't want a situation whereby we are only bringing items from other countries to tax them, to put custom duty on them and make money. No. We want a situation whereby we will process what we have here, produce what we have here, export them, whereby we are making a lot of foreign exchange that will enhance our economy and then develop our country. So when you see the potentials of these things will impact so much on the SMEs as well, because the benefit of it the multiplier effect of it will go down, and you will imagine that if a small-scale entrepreneur is not made to pay certain percentage of taxes because his turnover over a period of time is less than what is being categorized, then you will see that that will encourage a lot of people to go into these businesses, and we'll be able to also see where we can make to do in getting the taxes. I mean, what are we doing with the multinationals? Today, we are looking at how we can charge them, because why? They are producing and they are exporting. So as long as they are producing and exporting, making a lot of money, we tax them. So why don't we also encourage everybody to be into that productive sector, so that Nigeria can make more money than relying on importations and relying on the duties in our ports?
Yeah, but beyond compliance, there is also this overlapping tax jurisdiction. We see the federal government levy some kind of taxes. At the state level, it's something else. Even at the local government level, taxes are still being paid, and these weighs so much on a lot of these small businesses, and this has also contributed in the hike we have seen in prices of goods and services. How are we going to harmonize all of this?
You see, that is the reason why these bills, Mr. President, in his wisdom, decided to bring them, so that we can simplify ways and processes that these taxes have been collected, both locally and foreign. You can imagine today that over an uncountable number, I cannot specifically say because it depends on states. Some states collect close to about 60 different kind of taxes. And what this bill is trying to come up with is to streamline it, to make sure that those that are due to pay taxes are made to pay taxes. Before we go further to doing anything on these bills, we are going to have a full consultation with both stakeholders, the organized private sector. Everybody will be involved in looking at these bills before any consideration. So I can assure you that these bills are not only coming to reduce the impact or the multiple taxations that are being put on Nigerians. It will reduce it, and when we reduce it, we will also at the same time try to cap it according to turnover of what you produce, because you cannot expect somebody, an SME that is trying to start a startup, and then comparing him to making a lot of millions of naira and then putting a lot of taxes on him. We are going to review this. We will look at those bills critically and make sure that it is in the rights aspirations of Nigerians.
Yeah, government data also shows that, compliance has significantly improved over time. But the problem here now for many is that development is not commensurate with with tax payments, with the way they comply with the tax. So it appears as if the government is not keeping its own end of the bargain.
You see, we are in a country that really we don't believe in paying our taxes.
But compliance is improving.
Both corporate organizations and individuals, hardly you can imagine believing in paying the taxes. And let me correct one thing to you. Taxes does not develop a country. Taxes never develops a country. What develops a country is productivity. So the more we do the production, the more we tune our economy towards production, the more we'll be able to earn what we'll be able to develop this country with. So what we are going to do, we will streamline the taxes and make sure that there will be full consultation. All stakeholders will have an input to make in these bills. We will also reach out to the subnationals to be able to come and make their own presentations, because especially when there will be joint tax boards where both the federal and states will coordinate in collecting some of these taxes together. So we have to find a framework that will be workable, and we have to find a framework that will not shift so much burden on individual Nigerians. What we are trying to do is to make sure that the productive sector is working, and when the productive sector is working, then you can imagine the kind of taxes or the kind of revenue the state will be able to make.
Yeah, some people say, you know, the problem now or the challenge will be at the subnational and the local government level, because a lot of them rely heavily on these taxes for revenue generation. And if we begin to harmonize and cut down the number of taxes, it may then mean that less money is coming into the coffers.
Yes, to ensure right implementations of these policies, I believe there will be wide consultations between all the sectors, both the subnationals and the federal government, and also the organized private sector will come together and we'll be able to fashion what is going to be workable for this country. If you look at other countries that are working, their taxes, they pay their taxes. The burden is not so much shifted on individuals, but corporate organizations that make so much money make more revenue, pay more taxes in terms of revenue to the states. So we will look at those areas and be able to see that we do not shift this burden on Nigerians. We make sure that this burden works where there's a lot of productivity.
Let's talk about the ongoing economic reforms now, looking at President Bola Tinubu's administration and the performance of the economy. Nigerians have been told, you know, to be patient and wait to see the gains and rewards of these ongoing economic reforms. But Nigerians have waited for months, getting to a year, and these reforms are still in place. And some people are saying there's not much to show for it.
You see, when you are talking about economic development or indices to show whether economy is working or not, they are very complex in nature. But I can tell you that with the reform that Mr. President, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu brought into this country, in the long term, it's something that will sustain Nigeria and put us on the map of those advanced economies. But as it is today, yes, there's hardship. Our GDP growth is not commensurate with what our expectations are. The inflation rates, we're trying as much as possible to see how we can balance it.
Including the tax to GDP ratio, we still have one of the lowest.
The tax to GDP ratio, we still have one of the lowest today in Africa. And I can assure you that our economy is not, today when you look at those indices I'm talking about, because you see we have framers that will look at what you have, you look at your books and be able to tell you that either the economy is doing good or not. The World Bank have projected our growth, and today it's not like they are disappointed with the way we're going, but the hardship, I know where you're coming from. Nigerians are feeling the hardship now, but in the long run, I believe that if we are able to sustain it, it's going to be better for us. What is bringing this hardship? What are those economic reforms that Nigerians have seen? Is the removal of the oil subsidy. Initially, the oil subsidy is there, but people do not know how is this subsidy being managed? Why is the resources coming and then putting them to one particular sector, that is the oil? And that even in the oil, you can see they have already removed subsidy in diesel, and still people are buying diesel. And you have not seen the kind of hardship we are seeing today. The only area I think we need to work on is the power sector. If we are able to put our power sector back and allow production to take its course. Whatever we are doing today, whatever policy we put on ground today, if this vital sector, the power, electricity in this country is not working, then definitely manufacturers will be having problems. And as long as we are not manufacturing, as long as we are going to be dependent on getting food into this country, as long as we don't put our agriculture back to stream, then our economy will be stagnant. But today our economy is not stagnant. What I am looking at is a situation whereby in the next maybe few months, maybe between now and 18 months, if we are able to put all those indices that we are targeting and putting right and continue to pursue them, I think things will change. You can see where we are coming from. There was high kind of inflation. The high inflation rate in this country is alarming. And it's not something that can come down drastically at once. It's something that has to take a little time. If you look at the initiative towards improving infrastructure, it's another thing. So we have so much of issues, and the only way we can tackle these issues is to make sure that our monetary policy and our fiscal policy work hand in hand. As long as we don't have that working together, then definitely we will have variance in seeing the outcome of whatever policy we are putting. But in a nutshell, to tell you, if the economy is going to work well, the economy is going to work well. If I'm optimistic that we will come out of these difficulties, I can tell you optimistically we will come out of this thing. Yep. If you look at the ratio, when you are talking about debt, you can see the debt policy that this administration is working on. And I believe that within a short period of time, we will see how drastically we will bring down our debts profile and be able to put more revenue, more money into developmental